Hi, I'm Jadon, a product specialist and designer at SiteStacker. Today we're going to take a look at how to build a unique web page in SitePlanner. Let's start with an overview of what SitePlanner is. SitePlanner is our website publishing or content management component in SiteStacker. It allows you to publish static content such as independent text, buttons, and images, or dynamic content like missionaries, projects, and opportunities. Today I will walk you through, step by step, how to build a unique web page exactly like this one, using custom wrappers, a project giving input, and our map module. If you do not have prior basic knowledge in our SitePlanner component, I recommend visiting our training website at sitestacker.training. There you will find resources like this one that walk you through creating and publishing content. Let's begin by opening up our SitePlanner component. We'll start by dropping down our site channel and going into the specific site channel we want to work in. As a reminder, the site plan side is where our page will be hosted. The Content Explorer side is where all of the content for our web page will be stored. I will be working inside this Training Pages folder, which has assigned content to it. What that means is this header, the footer, and this flyout, which currently doesn't have any menu items, is all assigned content. That means when I create a new page, I don't have to recreate those items every time. They're assigned to everything that is created within this folder. Dropping that down, you will see I have a home training page already in there. That is the page that we will be replicating. To create a new page, I'll right-click on this folder and hit Add Page. I'm going to call this page Home Training 2. You can then hit Save and Close. Now that we have created our page, we'll head over to the Content Explorer side. Underneath this folder, I will head into the Static folder and into the Training folder that I've already created. Within that, I will make a secondary folder titled Home Training 2 by right-clicking and hitting Add Folder. You can save and close. Now that we have everything set up, we can begin building our web page. You'll notice throughout the training that I'll right-click on the page itself and hit Preview. This will bring up my web page in a separate window. It's nice to go back and forth between SitePlanner and the page itself to make sure that you're building everything out exactly how you want it to look. In this training, I'll be working in an external design platform. I'll be using Adobe XD to bring in specific files for my web page. I'm now going to head into my wrapper folder. We're going to create a custom wrapper. Right-click on the wrapper folder and hit Add Item. We're going to title this Hero Background. Go into the image file, and here we can upload. I'm going to double-click on the image I want to use. This one is a GIF file, which means it will be a moving image. You can now save and close. Now that we have our custom background wrapper created, I'm going to drag this onto our page. Wait till the green plus pops up and release. I'm going to select Hero Position and Basic View. The view classes I will select are Disable Background Resize and Fixed Background. This will ensure that the image does not zoom in, and it will apply a cool parallax effect to the photo. Save and close. The next step is to add the white border and the shapes around it. To create the custom background wrapper that goes over the GIF, I will open Adobe XD and create a new artboard. I then created white rectangles to go all around the borders of the artboard, leaving the middle transparent for the photo to show. I decided to add shapes to the corners of the wrapper. It is your choice what you would like to do here. I'll then select the artboard and export it. I will go into my wrapper folder, right-click and hit Add Item and title this White Border. Then upload and select the image. I will then drag the white border background into the landscape background. I'll select Basic and choose my view classes. Here we will decide on Disable Background Resize, Sides, and Horizontal 8. This will add padding within that wrapper which will then allow us to add in this text and this custom button we created. This text and button are all created within one static item. Usually I'll create a button through the templated input within the static item. But in this case, I created a button through an image file. We'll go into our static folder, into training, under home training 2, and add our first item. I'll start by typing in the text that we want. Go tell the world. I'm going to select bold and increase the font size as much as possible while choosing a random font. What I will then do is go into the HTML and edit the font that I want and the size. I'm going to change it to Railway Bold and 65 pixels. Perfect. We'll then change it to white. And in order to position it exactly how we want it on the page, we'll need to add some space. So let me actually change this back real quick so we can see where it goes. I'm going to add some space. I want to create space below it because we're going to add in the follow my calling button. We also want to remember to copy this into the name so the name and alias populate. This is really just for the back end. We're going to go back into Adobe XD and create our buttons. These buttons were created by making new artboards, selecting our shape tool, and creating a rectangle with a radius of 41, which you can see there. I created my regular button off of hover, and then my button on hover. All these are just PNG files that we're going to upload into SitePlanner. We're going to upload these image files by going into this little picture here with the tree, selecting that, and then clicking on this calendar looking icon. I'm going to upload and select the image file, which in this case is follow my calling button, off of hover. I'm then going to go into advanced and select alternate image. And what this does is when I upload in the mouse over section, that's going to apply a hover. So that hover PNG file we created, it will switch to that, and then mouse out is going to go back to the off of hover photo. So this will make more sense once I apply it, but I'm going to select my hover file for that one, and then the off of hover file for that one. Then we'll go into appearance and change the dimensions. I'm going to do about 250, insert, and select yes. Then if we go back to the top and we select, you'll see we have our text and our button. And so you can't see it because it's white, but when you hover, it switches to the hover photo. We'll also want to make sure to apply a link to this so it becomes an actual working button. And how we'll do that is by going into this chain link here, select that, and I'm going to apply my link or URL in this input. In this case, I'm just putting a slash, but you would put wherever you want this button to go. And we'll select insert and save and close. And now when we select this button, it'll take us to wherever we wanted it to link to. In this case, the slash just brings you to the home page of the site. So now we can save and close. And then we'll drag that static item. Let me go ahead and close that and into the white border wrapper. I'm going to select basic, text center, and that should be all for view classes. And then save and close. Now we can preview home training 2. Awesome, that's looking great. The only thing I think I want to change here is we selected a hero view, where instead I think we're going to do body, because if we go look at the home training page that we're going based off of as an example, this one has a header bar, and it just looks better because the menu items are darker with the base template. So we're going to go back in and we're going to select body on the landscape background. So now there's the comparison between the two of them. You can see this one is the example page, and this one we just have the hero image. The next portion we're going to create is this living on mission section where we have 4 icons with some stats, and then header text, summary, and a button. We're going to jump into our wrapper folder, and we're going to select a basic wrapper. Let's drag that onto our page, do body and basic. And then we will select bottom, sides, horizontal 4, and vertical 4. And then I think centered 1250 is what we did. And I'm going to title this Living on Mission. You can actually use this label, which will just organize it on the back end. And so what we've done with the padding here is we added bottom padding to get a little white space here, as well as white space on the sides, but we didn't add any on the top, because if we go to Home Training 2 and refresh, you'll see that without the top padding, there's already a lot of space below this. So we don't want to add any more space. So that's why we've just added bottom and sides. We're then going to add in 2 more wrappers. Drag one basic wrapper over, select basic, and I'm going to select half width column, as well as sides and horizontal 2. And then I'm going to select fade in right. And this is just going to add a little transition effect. So if I go to our example here, you'll notice that they fade in from the right and the left. So I'm going to take that basic wrapper we just created, and I'm going to copy it and paste it on the page level. This will paste it outside of the Living on Mission folder. What we want to do is drag it inside right next to the other basic wrapper we created. So now we have 2 of the same wrappers. I really just copied it and pasted it into the page itself. We're going to go into the second wrapper, and we're going to change this to fade in left. So I just deleted fade in right. Now I'm going to add in fade in left. Save and close. So now you'll see we have our main wrapper, which is adding bottom and side padding around the entire thing. And then we've added 2 more half wrappers. So we have one wrapper that's containing all of this and another wrapper that's containing all of this. And now we're going to add in 2 more wrappers into this second one, which is going to contain the top row, so the without clean water and the living in poverty, and then the bottom row, which is going to contain children are not in school and undernourished globally. So we're just going to drag a basic wrapper into the second one, select basic, and go down to bottom and vertical 0.5. Save and close, and then we're just going to drag another basic wrapper but apply no view classes to it. Save and close. Now we can go into our static folder in Home Training 2 and add our static items. The first static item we're going to add is the Living on Mission, the summary text, and the button. We can do this all within the same static item. Right click on your folder, add item. In our title field, I'm going to put our header text. In the summary, I'm going to copy and paste lorem ipsum. And then down in the last input, I'm going to put our button text, which in this case is who we are. And then you can either select a page that is within your site, or you can do an external link, which in this case, I'm just going to do an external link and put a slash, which will link the button to the home page. And I'm only doing this because there isn't a who we are page that I've created. So in your circumstance, you will add whatever page you want that button to link to. I'm going to select self, which will bring up the page within the same window. Blank would bring it up in a new window. Save and close. You can then drag the item over to this first folder, select basic, and heading 3. Save and close. Now take a look at our page. I'm going to refresh. And there we go. This is the example, and this is our page. So now we just have to create the items that will be on the right side of the page. And actually, before we create these static items, we're going to need to create even more wrappers. So we have this top row here, which I'm actually going to label top. And then the bottom row, I'm going to label bottom. But we're going to need 2 more wrappers in there. So what we have is the top row and the bottom row. But now we need a half wrapper here and a half wrapper here to contain the 2 top halves. And then a half wrapper here and one there to contain the 2 items on the bottom row. So we're going to drag over a basic wrapper to the top, select basic, half, and then sides horizontal 2. I'm then going to copy that wrapper onto the page level 3 times. I'll minimize this so it's less distracting, and we'll go into the Living on Mission extend the second wrapper, and in the top one, we're going to drag one of these. And in the bottom one, we're going to drag both of these. So now we have the top row that has 2 half wrappers and the bottom row that has 2 half wrappers. Now we can close our wrapper folder and go back into our home training static folder. Just to organize this even more, I'm going to go into this folder and create another folder labeled stats. This will make it easier to locate these items. That's the only reason I'm doing this. I'll then right click on this, add item, and we're going to create all 4 of these individually. So the text and the photo will go within the same static item. I'll start by clicking on the WYSIWYG's image upload, and I'm going to select the image I want. Changing the dimensions to 70. Select yes, and then I'm going to center that. And then right below the photo, I'm going to add in my text. We'll then need to take that and copy it into the name. That way it just has a name in the back end, and then save and close. We'll then drag this item into the top basic wrapper and the first one underneath that. Select basic, and we should be good on view classes, and you can just save and close. Let's refresh and take a look. Perfect. So now we have our first one there, and we just have 3 more to go. You're really just going to do the same thing, create another item, drag it into the second one, and then do the bottom rows. Perfect. So now we have all of our static items within those wrappers, and it looks exactly like our example here. We're now going to move on to the section below it, which is featuring the Hope Fund, and this is a project giving input. We'll start by going into our wrapper folder and creating the background. The custom background is going to be this image here. We'll title it Hope Fund Background and find the image I want to upload. I'll then take my Hope Fund background that I saved and drag it into the page. I'll select Body Position, Basic View, and our view classes. Disable background resize, top, bottom, sides, horizontal 2, and vertical 2. We're then going to add 2 more wrappers inside of this Hope Fund background. Those 2 wrappers will contain an empty one, and then one with the header, the summary, and the project giving input. Drag over the basic wrapper, select basic, and save and close. Drag over another one, select basic, and then we'll apply our view classes. We're going to apply half width, top, sides, and bottom, horizontal 2, vertical 3. Save and close. We're then going to create the static item that's going to go on the wrapper on the left. And all we're doing is adding a period and a couple spaces within this wrapper. And this is just so the left side of the wrapper populates onto the page. So we're going to take this, and then we're going to go onto our page, right click and hit inspect, and then hit this little eye drop here, and we're going to select the color of this background. It copies it. Now you go in here, highlight over your period, select more colors, and change the color. Now it will blend in with the background, just add a little bit of space. We'll title this empty. Next, we'll drag this empty static item into the first wrapper and select basic, save and close. Next, we're going to create the items on the right side of the page. Top half here is a header and summary, which is a static item. The bottom half is a project, which will be published as a giving input. We'll go into the home training folder, select add item, put our title as Hope Fund, and copy lorem ipsum into the body, which will be our summary. We'll then take that static item we just made and drag it into the second basic wrapper. Select basic, and apply text center, white, H3. Save and close. If we refresh, we see this looks kind of odd, and I think what happened here was in this first wrapper, we actually need to apply half width. And let's refresh. There we go. So now it looks a lot better. All we're missing is the give input. We'll add the giving input by going into the projects folder. And if you have an existing project you would like to add, then you'll just drag it over and publish it. And if you want to create a new project, you'll do the same way you would create any item on the Content Explorer by right-clicking on the folder and hitting Add Item. In this case, I'm going to use an existing project we've created. Drag it over to the folder, into the wrapper. We're going to select Giving Input Only. Save and close. We refresh. Now we have our giving input. The way you can adjust what's inside of these buttons is by going into your project, drop down the campaign info, and you can add more giving inputs if you would like, or change existing ones. So far we have our hero, the living on mission section with our stats, and below that we have our hope fund section. Next we will create the give, go, and pray section. These are very similar to the button we created, which is really just an image with a link attached to it. You can see if I click on this, it goes to a link. You'll notice I also created a unique background here where it's a parallax effect that then meets the bottom half and goes into the brown wrapper. I created this unique wrapper in Adobe XD. I started by creating these two shapes, one green, one yellow, and then on the bottom half of the photo, adding a brown rectangle, which will then meet the wrapper below it, which makes for a seamless transition. I'll export this and upload it into SitePlanner. Once you have uploaded and created that basic wrapper, you will drag it onto your page. I'll select Body, Basic. I'm going to choose Disable Background Resize, Fixed Background, as well as top, bottom, sides, horizontal 4, and vertical 4. Save and close. We will then need to create 3 wrappers that are all 1/3. Each one will be containing pray, give, or go. Drag over your basic wrapper into the geometric background, select basic, and apply 1/3, sides, and horizontal 2. Save and close. We're then going to copy that and paste it 2 times on the page level. We'll then take those 2 and drag them into the geometric background. We now have 3 1/3 wrappers. We'll go in each one and apply a fade in animation. On this one, I'll apply fade in right. The middle, apply fade in up. And the last one, apply fade in left. The next step is creating these cards, which will each link to their specific pages. Pray linking to pray, give linking to give landing page, and same with go. To show you how I did this, I created a new artboard. We'll call this one test. Then created a rectangle. The width was 314.72. The height was 383.44. Then decided to add a radius to the top to get a shape like this. Select 200, and there you go. I'm then going to select the color I want for off of hover, which is this color here. And then I'm going to take this shape and copy it on top of it, and then double click and select the 2 bottom points. Need to shift click. And then we're going to drag those to meet about a little more than halfway up there. I'll take the border off of the bottom one, and the top one I'm going to apply a photo to it. Now that I have a photo applied to it, I'm going to bring in the text. There we go. That is our off of hover, and to create our on hover, we're just going to copy and paste the artboard and then change the color to be white. You'll complete almost the same steps for the other 2, with go being the same exact one with a different photo and text, and give is just rotated upside down. Very similar to the button, we're going to go and create a new static item. Inside of the WYSIWYG, we're going to go inside of this image icon again, and we're going to upload the image. You'll see I've uploaded my image, I have the hover as well as the original image file on the mouse out. And we'll go to Appearance and change the dimensions to 300. You'll see the hover is applied, and now all you have to do is add the link. You can save and close. Once you have all three of those items uploaded and created as separate static items, we're going to drag each one into a wrapper. And let's refresh. Perfect. So you can see this is our example, and this is our page we've been creating. Next, you can see we transition into a brown wrapper with a map module on top of it and find a trip text. I'm going to start this next section by going into my wrapper folder and creating the light brown wrapper. Once you have created that, you can drag it onto your page and select Body and Basic. Then going to apply bottom, sides, top, horizontal 4, and vertical 6. Next, we'll create the static item with the text. Text center, white, H3, save and close. And we'll refresh. Perfect. So now we just need to add the map module. We're going to do this by going into the modules folder and right-clicking, adding item. Type in world map. I'm going to title this one training and select save. After you've selected save, you'll then get a bunch of settings that'll pop up that you can select. We're going to select the content type that we want assigned to this map module. I'm going to select project. For the summary view, we'll select box summary, and for the detail view, we'll select detail. And in this map image file is where you'll upload your map. So in this case, we have a cream map that I've created, and I just upload that. We'll also go right above that and select any filters that we want to apply. Once you've selected the tags and corrected the titles for each one, then you can save and close. Then you'll take your world map and drag it into your light brown wrapper. Save and close, and let's refresh. Perfect. I decided to add a little space between the text and the map module by just going into the static item and adding space in the body. So now we can see the seamless transition between the two sections. Lastly, we're going to create this featured trip section. The first thing we'll want to do is create this custom background wrapper that just has this shape in the corner that's layering with the project over it. The way we'll do this is in Adobe XD by creating an artboard, selecting our ellipse tool, and creating a circle in the corner of the artboard. The exact dimensions I chose were 456, both in the width and height. Then we're going to grab our eyedrop tool and just select the same color and unapply the border. We'll export that artboard. You most likely know the drill by now, but we'll upload that as a custom background wrapper, and then we're going to drag it over to our page. So we'll drag over our trip background, select body, basic, disable background resize, and top, bottom, sides, horizontal 4, vertical 4. We're then going to drag in a basic wrapper inside of this trip background, and this wrapper is going to contain the left side here. So the featured trips heading, summary, and button. And when creating this example, I really just had to play around with the padding. So as I list off these view classes that I'm applying, just keep in mind that I did not come up with these on the top of my head, but it definitely took going back and forth and just really adjusting it to how it should look. So what I've done here is select half width column because I know it needs to be half of the screen. And then I selected top, vertical 2.5, and left horizontal 8, just because that makes the right amount of spacing. We'll now save and close. And I'm going to title this wrapper Featured Trips, actually. We're then going to bring over another basic wrapper into the trip background. Select basic, half width, and sides horizontal 2, as well as fade in left, just so we can have a neat fade in effect. And then we're going to drag in another basic wrapper inside of that one just to add more padding. Select basic and select sides horizontal 3. I'm then going to drag in one more wrapper, and I'm going to make this a slider, and select arrow padding, dark color dots, featured slider, show arrows, and enable autoplay. Next, we're going to go into our project folder here and go into this training folder that I've created. And in here, I have 2 projects that I've already made. So what I'm going to do is actually drag this training folder into the slider and select summary. Then I'm going to choose lighter gray, which really all that is just selecting the color here of the card. And I'm going to save and close. We'll then also need to add this static item into the wrapper above. So let's go to our static folder, into training. And I've created this item on the body just because I can't change the color in the title field because that's templated. So I've done it down here in the body so I could add this orange arrow. And I have my summary text right below that. Then I'm going to go down into the button here and just do see all trips. And I'll link that to the trips page. In this case, since we don't have a trips page, we'll just do a slash and self and save and close. Don't forget to put a title. We'll drag over featured trips, select basic, and should be good. Actually, I'm going to go back into the slider that's containing our training folder, and we're going to remove featured slider. Save and close that, and then go into the training folder that's within that, and we're going to add a limit of 1, like you can see I have there. And what that's going to do is just limit it so that there's one project that shows up. So save and close, and you'll see it's a little funky looking, but now that we've added those 2 things, let's refresh, and there we go. This is our example, and this is our page that we've built together. And that's it. Now you can see we have a beautiful, unique web page that we've created together, step by step, that has giving inputs, has unique custom buttons that we've created, really awesome transitions in our background wrappers, a map module, and projects. I really enjoyed walking you guys through how to create a unique web page in SitePlanner. If you're looking for more trainings like this one, you can head over to sitestacker.training. We'll see you guys next time.